our warm-up, then the class activity, you are definitely not going to be able to escape from a grammar lesson, but then we are going to have more exercise. So for that exercise, I'm going to ask you to be brave because look, we all need to read. So I'll be going like at first. I'll be going like, okay, who has to read this part, this part, and this part? And obviously, I'm not going to put all the volunteers that I would want. So then I'm going to start naming forced volunteers. So don't be worried about your pronunciation or your fluency or whatever, because you're here to learn. Okay. So I just want to say that beforehand, so you can start like motivating yourselves. Maybe we'll have a little surprise. So I'm going to share the screen with you. Let me open chat as well.
Sorry. Somebody that algunas personas en el chat dicen que se te escucha un poco cortado.
Ay, mamita, ya empezamos.
Pero que ya ha pasado, calma, que le ha pasado al profe, no se preocupen, que tiene mil
Sí,
ventajas.
no es mi primer rodeo con esto.
Que es
A
normal.
ver, dame un segundito. Un segundito, me puedo reiniciar, ¿no? Y bueno.
Vale. Que le ha pasado ya varias veces, lo tiene dominado. Que tiene 1000 videojuegos abiertos y 1000 micros abiertos, por eso le pasa. Y que su gato también anda por allí, por los cables, ya, lo tiene dominado, no se preocupe, que vamos a escuchar bien. Hola, Carol, buenos días, qué gusto verte. Hola. Y a los que se están conectando también, Estefanía, está conectando el audio. Ya viene el profe, lo veo. Joel, que está conectando el audio. Y bueno, está Marcelo, el que tiene el fondo verde. Marcelo, saluda por ahí, que es nuestro asesor, que está desde Argentina, él siempre con una buena sonrisa. Lo que nadie sabe es que en Argentina son las 6 de la mañana y estás aquí dándolo todo. Las 5, oh por Dios. Bueno, para que vean cómo se trabaja aquí en BLA, ahí lo pueden molestar. Vamos a ver, vamos a activar al profe Iván, que ya ha regresado. Ok. Vamos a ver.
Yo no sé cómo Marcelo puede estar a las 5 de la mañana tan sonriente porque yo estaría modo zombie total. O sea, mi admiración personal, ¿eh? No sé si se me oye mejor ahora, si lo podéis ir comentando por el chat.
Yo sí que sí, pero vamos a ver los demás chicos. Vale. Puedes ir a hablar, ok.
Vale, perfecto. Es que me estaba estopillando el micro de la cámara, que es una basura. Un micro que tiene esta cámara no debería tenerlo. Okay, so okay, we have a Vero saying soy la única que no oye nada. I don't know. And apparently some people couldn't enter the meeting. But okay, like I was saying before, we are going to have our first reading exercise today, and I want you to participate. Like I want to ask that you participate, please. It's going to be at the end of the class, and afterwards we are going to have some Kahoot, so we can play a little bit, relax ourselves, etc. So yeah, let's begin our lesson. And for today's warm-up, we are going to be talking about the qualities for success. So we are mostly going to see some more adjectives, okay? You have like 3 different careers: model, a salesperson, and magazine, and we need to rank those adjectives there 1 to 6. 1, I think, being the most important, and 6 being the least important for every one of these careers. Yeah. So let's see, what do you think of a model? Okay, so we have qualities for model: fashionable, a la moda; gorgeous, preciosa, increíble, en plan una persona muy atractiva; industrious, industrial; muscular, muscular; and slender, slender como delgada o delgado en este caso. Okay, because model can be either a woman or a man. So, okay, so I see that's 5, not 6. So rank 1 to 6. Let's see, which of those adjectives do you think is the most important one for a modeling career? Let's see in the chat. You can either say like, this is the most important, this is the second most important, or you can just write your ranking 1 to 6, 1 to 5, sorry, and that's it. But I want to see your opinion on this. Like, for example, I think that being fashionable is very, very, very important for a model. But maybe you think that being gorgeous or being slender is more important. So let's see what you think in the chat. Okay, Pilar wants to talk, which is amazing. Yeah, hello, good morning, Pilar.
Good morning. So, well, in my opinion, I think be muscular is the most important because she has to be very strong or very fit to be a good model. In second way, I can say gorgeous and fashionable. And then will be industrious, and finally slender, maybe.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Do people in the chat agree? And thank you very much, Pilar.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry. I'm writing where it shouldn't be. Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to be right back because there is a delivery man at my door. I'm going to open the door and be back. Okay, apparently there was no need for that because someone else went. Okay, so no, see, okay, Isabel wants to see if I can repeat the meaning of the words. Yes, okay. Fashionable, a la moda. Alguien pues que está muy pendiente de la moda, que viste muy bien, etc. Gorgeous, preciosa o muy bello. Industrious, alguien así como muy trabajador. Muscular, muscular, and slender, delgado. Christian says, I think the most important adjective is fashionable, but being gorgeous is dominant too. All right. And Liz Maroya says, espero que lo he dicho bien, creo que no lo he dicho bien, lo siento. I think that the adjective is fashionable. Oh, you can call me Liz. Okay, Liz. Good. Okay, so I think we are agreed that being fashionable is very important for a model. So I think I'm going to put that in the first place because, well, we have a little bit of consensus here about that, about the consensus. And so fashionable would be number 1. And what about number 2? Just an example with slender. Yeah, sure. Bear in mind that examples with adjectives are very easy to make and not that easy to understand unless you know the meaning of the word. But for example, we could say she exercises a lot, so she can be slender. Hace mucho ejercicio para estar delgada. O sea, slender tiene esa connotación como de delgadez, pero delgadez sana, como delgadez a través de hacer ejercicio, de hacer dieta, etc. Okay. So I'm going to put maybe gorgeous as the second one, because I saw it could be fit, more or less, but fit is more like maybe more muscular than slender. And thin is like, it doesn't have the same connotation as slender because it's more like, maybe there are people who are thin and then they can be too thin, for example, pueden ser demasiado delgados en ese aspecto, or maybe they are naturally thin. But slender has this more of a personal effort to be like that. Okay, so maybe let's put the slender as a third, and muscular as the fourth, and industrious as the fifth. So now we're going to talk about a salesperson, un vendedor o una vendedora. Okay, remember that there is a very important thing that you need to bear in mind when talking about adjectives in English, and is that they have no gender. Okay? Los adjetivos en inglés no tienen género ni número. It's very different from Spanish, because in Spanish we say guapo, guapa, alto, alta. In English we just say pretty, tall. That's it. Or guapos y guapas, we still say pretty, tall, etc. So we are never going to be able to know if we are talking about a male or a female person by seeing the adjectives that we are using. Okay, that's very important. We need more context. So a salesperson, vendedor o una vendedora, we have clever, inteligente, charming, como con encanto, knowledgeable, con conocimiento, persuasive, persuasivo, and tough. Tough es duro. Duro en un sentido como Rambo, en plan como muy así, que lo ves y dices, ay mamá, que cómo me pone esta persona. So, which adjectives do you think are the best ones to define a good salesperson? Like I, for example, would say that charming is like number one, like absolute number one, charming, encantador, alguien que te, como que te engancha y dices, ay, pero esta persona que más es, que me está explicando todo, no sé qué. I think that's very important for a salesperson. Let's see what you think in the chat, or you can raise your hand and speak to me if you want, which I really appreciate, because that way I can hear you. Oh yes, Marco, as usual, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, good morning, Marco.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, I believe that the first one is knowledgeable. The second one is knowledgeable, yeah. The second one, charming. The third one, persuasive. The third, clever. And the last one, tough.
Tough. Yeah, I think that's a salesperson being tough is, you don't really need to care about that. But okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Marco.
You're welcome.
All right. Christian says, I think a salesperson has to be persuasive to make you attracted to their products, but also knowledgeable so he knows how to do it. All right. Very good. So we have like, maybe we could put knowledgeable as the first one. So because I put it on the third place and Christian on the second and Mark on the first. So maybe we can put it on the first one. And afterwards, we can say that persuasive is number 2. And maybe charming, number 3. Clever, number 4. And tough, number 5. The meaning, yes. Clever, inteligente. Okay, listo. Charming, encantador. Knowledgeable, como que tiene mucho conocimiento de lo que está hablando. Persuasive, persuasivo. Y tough, duro, de apariencia como dura. Okay, and the last one isn't, we're not going to talk about people, but we're going to talk about a magazine. Okay, so let's see what you like in a magazine. First one, affordable, que es fácil bueno, es barato, que se puede permitir fácilmente. Attractive, atractivo. Entertaining, entretenida. Informative, informativa. Y well written, bien escrita. All right. So, for example, Andrea thinks that the first thing, the key aspect of a good magazine is to be well written. Esté bien escrita. Do you agree with Andrea? Like, I, for example, think that, yeah, that a well-written magazine can afford to be a bit more expensive than other magazines because maybe it's like, I don't know, €1 difference, and I wouldn't like to pay less and have a worse product. I think that for small quantities of money, well-written is something that is way more important than being affordable. So let's see, yeah, right foot. Number one, well-written. Christian said it has to be well-written and attractive, make you attracted to the magazine. And Carla is asking, what is the meaning of industrious? Industrious que se esfuerza mucho, muy trabajador. We could also say hardworking. I'm going to write that in the chat. Hardworking. All right, so do you agree with Christian? Do you think that number 2 should be attractive in this case? Because I think I agree. I think that a product being attractive, if it's well written, like there are qualities that really complement themselves. So let's see, I'm going to put number 2 here. It's an attractive product, and we only have entertaining, informative, and affordable for our final 3 adjectives. I don't know if a good magazine has to be entertaining because it can be more informative than entertaining. For example, science magazines or whatever. Yeah, I think that I agree with Christian as well. We're going to say informative. And we can say entertaining and affordable as last quality because yes, it's good when something is affordable, but if it's a quality product, and it is within my reach, I think that I would rather pay more and have a good product than have something cheaper that isn't as good. Asequible, yes. All right, let's go with this. So yeah, that's it. So for an example of what I was telling you before, like these headphones, for example, I think they cost me like 120 euros, something like that. It wasn't cheap. I had to think about it a lot, but I absolutely love them. And so I think it was worth it. To be worth it, valer la pena. I'm going to write that in the chat. To be worth it, valer la pena. This exercise here, I think I'm going to leave it. And if we have time later, we can come back. And if not, we will probably see it on tomorrow's lesson because I'm taking a look at the time and we've already been in lesson 4, 20 minutes. And I'm really way more interested on this exercise. Okay, so we are going to talk about dream jobs. Why? Because I know that most of you are here because you want to learn English in order to apply that to your professional outlook. All right. So we are going to begin by doing some small, this is not a reading exercise, but some small reading comprehension. And let's see which of these jobs do you think is best suited for you. ¿Cuáles de estos trabajos creéis que os pega más? Okay, we're going to begin with marketing manager. The requirements, los requisitos, must have a business degree, marketing experience. Debe tener una carrera en negocios o experiencia en marketing. Must be available to travel and work long hours. Must enjoy sport and fitness. Under responsibilities, interviewing people about their sports preferences, writing reports, and working with famous athletes. So let's see if there is any vocabulary there that you didn't quite understand. If you want to be a bit faster and skip the vocabulary part, and you can read on your own, and then tell me which one do you think is the best suited job for you. All right, I see no questions about vocabulary so far. If you maybe think of one later, you can ask it anyway. Second job is a personal assistant, un asistente personal, who must have excellent telephone skills, must be willing to work flexible hours, and must be able to take orders and make important decisions. The responsibilities are maintaining the calendar of a busy celebrity, scheduling meetings, and preparing the staff for public appearances. And the last one is an activities director who must have experience working with tourists, must be a people person, must be outgoing and creative. Outgoing, sociable, como bastante extrovertido. And responsibilities including all leisure activities on a popular cruise ship, including planning the excursions, planning daily excursions, special menus, and nightly entertainment. There we go. So which one of these jobs do you think would suit you? ¿Qué trabajo de estos tres creéis que os pegaría a vosotros? Like, for example, I think I would be terrible at all of them. Scheduling, organizar, en el sentido de organizar un horario. So, to schedule a meeting, for example, means organizar con la gente, ver cuándo pueden, etcétera, y colocar todo en el horario para tenerlo ya planeado. Programación, yes. Más que hacer el gráfico es todo el esfuerzo que hay detrás de pues, ver cuándo puede esta persona, esta celebrity, cuando puede hacer esto, cuando puede lo otro, sí, que no se le solape con otra cosa, etcétera. Todos los horarios puede tener esta persona. Leisure, ocio. Christian says, I think personal assistant is the closest work to my skills. All right, good. I think it would be the one that suits me best too. I don't think I would be very good at it, but I think I would be even worse as a marketing manager or as an activities director. So yeah, let's see if we have any more people who want to tell me which of these jobs is the best for them. And afterwards, you can start thinking about this. I want you to tell me about your dream job. Like, what job do you think would be like ideal for you? Quiero conocer cómo sería vuestro trabajo de ensueño. Dream job, trabajo de ensueño. So you can start thinking about it right now. Like in my case, for example, I have 3 dream jobs. One of them is actually being a teacher because I really enjoy it. And I think it's something that I've always enjoyed. And the second one would be a museum guide because I don't know, I like museums, I like art, I like education. And I don't know, I think that working in a museum is probably actually very interesting and very fun. Jocelyn says that working in a laboratory would be great. Okay, good. And my third ideal job would be a streamer. You know, like people who play video games for money. Because, well, I like video games, I like money, so why not both? But it's very hard. Yeah, I think I'm going to stay as a teacher, at least for the time being. And Isabel says, I would like to act. Oh, that's very nice. All right, let's see who else wants to tell me about their dream job. It doesn't matter if, for example, if you are like already working in your dream job, like me, that's amazing. Like you can say it anyway and be like, oh yes, I'm working my dream job and my dream job is lo que sea. Pilar says, I'd like to apply for a personal assistant. I think I'd be good in this field. All right, Pilar, very good. And Isabel also says, or drawing for a company. All right, good, good, good. For example, I wouldn't be able to draw anything because I'm the least creative person I know, like zero creativity. If you want, for example, instead of writing in the chat, if you want to tell me on voice chat, if you want to practice, maybe I can ask you a couple of questions, a little bit of a back and forth. I think that would be very good as well. Very good for you, very good for the class, and very good for me. And so it says, I'm good at drawing. Nice, nice, nice. I envy you a little bit. Tengo un poquito de envidia, pero envidia sana, ¿eh? And Rubio is asking, must be a people person. People person es una persona también muy sociable, muy activa, con mucho encanto. That's what we call a people person. Marco says, my goal is to be a manager, a director of my own IT infrastructure and maintenance company. Okay, very good. So I hope you achieve it, Marco, because that's a very nice goal. All right, so I think we are going to move on. And we are going to start our grammar lesson. Today, we are going to talk about two things, but just give me a second because apparently something didn't go quite well with my slides. I'm going to move this here. There we go. Easy, easy, very easy to fix. We are going to talk about the passive voice. Okay. So what is a passive voice? Let's see if someone remembers what the passive voice is, because I'm very, 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 very sure that your English teachers, well, they talked about the passive voice to you, probably a lot, probably too much. I remember when I was in high school that my high school teachers were obsessed with the passive voice. And so I was a bit like, oh, no, not again. But let's see. So passive voice. Okay, so the passive voice is something we use to change the focus of the sentence. What does changing the focus of the sentence means? It means that, for example, in an active voice, we have a subject who does the action and then something or someone who receives the action. For example, we can see on this chart in the middle of the screen to the left, the president opened the building in 1931. So there we can assess that the most important part of the sentence is that it was the president who opened the building. So we're like, oh, okay. It's very important that the president was the one who opened the building. But in the passive voice, if we don't want the president to be the most important part of the sentence we are focusing on, we change things around. And now we have the building was opened by the president. So now our focus is on the building, the thing that was receiving the action, the thing that was being opened for us is more important than who did the action. Okay? So, how do we make a passive voice? What's our structure for them? That's very easy. Okay? So, we have a subject, then we have the past of the verb to be. So, in this case, was or were, depending on the personal number. Then the past participle, we really need to use the by. Okay, so this by here, we are going to see in every single passive voice sentence that has a complement and then our complement. In Spanish, this is what we call complemento agente. We also have the passive voice in Spanish, and it works exactly the same. So right here, it says in the first example, we use the active voice because we are interested in who opened the building. The present is the subject of the sentence. In the first example from the second column, we use passive voice because we are most interested in the building, not in who opened it. The same applies to the second example. An American architect designed the building. And so in that sentence, for us, what we are expressing there is that the most important part of the sentence is that it was an American building, an American architect who designed the building. Okay. Here it says simple past because for the passive voice, you are going to have to switch tenses around a lot, but a lot. So that's something that we are going to see probably outside of class. I can send you like a chart with the verb tenses that you need to use for the passive voice. But right now, we're only getting started. We are going to focus on simple tenses, okay? So before continuing on, do you have any questions? All right, no questions. That's amazing, actually. I really like that you don't have questions, but only if you don't have them. So if you are maybe a bit shy and don't like asking questions, please ask your questions, no matter how simple you think they are. It will be useful for you and it could be useful for your classmates. So in the simple present, pretty much the same, okay? So instead of using the past of the verb to be, we use the present of the verb to be. Okay? And Ria says, haha, we are smart. Oh, yes, you are. I think you really are. So I'm going to compare. As you can see here, actually, I'm going to do something else. Just a second, so we can compare both. All right, so if I do this and this, yeah, sorry. I seem to have caught a cold in summer, which yeah speaks a lot about me. Okay, so now you should be able to see the simple past and the simple present side by side. Can you see those two windows correctly? Maybe for mobile users, it might be a bit too small now that I think about it. But let's see what feedback you have. If you can see it correctly, then that's good. If not, I'm going to be switching back and forth. Okay, no feedback. You're a bit shy today, but it's okay. It's okay, I can handle it. So, as you can see, let me get my pointer thingy. When we use the past simple in a sentence and we want to turn it into a passive sentence, we're going to add what or where, and then the past participle of the verb. Remember that yesterday we talked about past participles because we were talking about the past and the present perfect, yes? And so remember that for regular verbs, the past participle is the same as the past, but for irregular verbs, you're going to have to learn them on a single verb basis. Okay, so you're going to be like, for example, I'm trying to think of an example, but I'm terrible at examples, so it's okay. I'll think of one later. So what happens with the present? For the present, simple, we need to add the present of the verb to be, so is, are, or am, and then again the past participle. We are going to have to use past participle for all the verb tenses in which we use the passive voice, okay? That's the thing that changes other than the meaning. Now we're going to go back to a single window. So for example, they say they use the euro in most of the European Union. There, the most important part for us is who uses the euro. But in the passive sentence, the euro is used in most of the European Union. Now there, our most important part, the focus of what we are saying is the euro. Oh, and there we have an example with an irregular verb. They speak English in many European countries because English is spoken. Okay, remember that verb to speak is speak, spoke, spoken. This is the past participle. English is spoken in many European countries. And so you might be wondering, like, okay, Ivan, this is cool, this is nice, but when do I use the passive voice? So we are going to talk about that. Okay, we use passive voice when we don't know who did this action. Okay, so for example, the cave paintings were made in the Upper Old Stone Age. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name here because I know I'm going to butcher it. But yeah, so we don't know who made those paintings, and so we don't bother talking about it. It's also used when the person who did it, which we call the actor, la persona que hizo la acción, is irrelevant. We don't care about who did it. An experimental solar plant will be built in the desert. We don't care about who builds it. We just care about the solar plant. We want to be vague about who is responsible. Vague no es vago en el sentido de lazy, okay? But like that, we don't want to get into specifics. We want to kind of dodge the question. Queremos evitar el tema. So, for example, I'm pretty sure that in your job, you've seen this, like someone makes a very big mistake. And when they talk about it, they say like, oh, mistakes were made, an emergency happened, etc. The computer broke. Yeah, and you know that well, it wasn't something that happened on its own. So mostly you're going to use, you can use the simple past, yes, but mostly you're going to see this being used with the passive voice. So it'd be like, yes, mistakes were made. Which, well, we all know that mistakes aren't made. Mistakes are made by people. You're talking about a general truth. Rules are made to be broken. This is maybe the use that it's more like, yeah, we don't use this that much. And we want to emphasize, this is very important to emphasize, enfatizar, the person or thing acted on. This is like the use that you're going to see the most for the passive voice. Like I said before, one in which the actor, the person who did the action, isn't that important, but the thing or person who received the action is what we care about. Insulin was first discovered in 1921, by researchers at the University of Toronto, And then number 6, which I think is the one that you're going to see the least, is you're writing in a scientific genre that traditionally relies on passive voice. Which, yes, for lab reports and research papers, you're going to see that a lot. I don't read lab reports. I don't read scientific papers. So I can't tell I have experience with this. Okay. So very important thing for our passive voice is that we need to use the preposition by. Okay. So something like we are going to use example 5 for this. Insulin was first discovered in 1921 by researchers at the University of Toronto. So when we talk about who did the action, because we can talk about it, we use by, okay? You can omit who did the action under certain circumstances. Podéis omitir quién hizo la acción bajo ciertas circunstancias. The most important ones are when we have by somebody or by someone, because that's obvious, or by something, because somebody, someone, or something have to have done the action, okay? So that adds nothing to our sentence. If we say, for example, mistakes were made by somebody, obviously, I mean, that's quite obvious. It's redundant. So we generally leave that out. We also don't use by, and we don't say who did it when it's obvious. Like, for example, imagine you have a bike and it gets stolen, and you say, oh, yes, my bike was stolen by a thief. It's obvious that a thief stole your bike because the act of stealing is performed by thieves. So we wouldn't say by thief. Or for example, the thief, again, was arrested by the police. The only people who can arrest someone are the police. So yes, we just ignore it. And we just say the thief was arrested, for example, okay? And yeah, when we don't care about who did it, who did the action, we can also ignore it and say, yeah, whatever. So, questions so far? All right, it's good that you don't have any questions because now we need to practice this, obviously. So I'm going to give you like a couple of minutes. So you can make one passive voice sentence with the simple present. We have an example already by Marco, who said he founded his company in 2020. The company was founded by him in 2020. Very good. All right. And very good order of the complements of the objects, because things like that tell us when something happened are going to be always the end of the sentence. So very good job, Marco. Let's see more example. We're going to focus right now on the simple present. Just one example of the passive voice with the simple present, and then I'm going to ask you another one with the past simple. I'm thinking of an example myself, so you can have it on the screen. Let's see. They build computers in that factory. Computers are built in that factory. So something that you need to bear in mind is that things like they, for example, saying by them, we usually ignore those unless we really know who they are. Okay, so Liz, that would be a past sentence, because we would say, my mother bought a car, mi madre compró un coche, a car was bought by my mother. Because of the rules of the simple present, that we don't use it to talk about things that happened once. No lo usamos para cosas que pasaron una vez. Where do you use the present of be? The present of be, we use it right after our subject. You can see it here. The euro is used, so that is the present of be. The euro is used in most of the European Union. So let's see those examples. Keep going. Very good example, this. I really like that you tried them. I'm going to write the correction in the chat so you can see it a bit better. My mother bought her. Car was bought by my mother. Very good. He walks his dog every morning. The dog is walked by him every morning. Very good, Christian. Very good. No complaints there. That was very nice. And I hope that dog is having fun. People believe that the president is loyal. The president is believed to be loyal. Very good, Pilar. Very good. I think it's a complicated one, so I'm really happy that you use like is believed. And Giovanni says, is the active voice used in the simple present? Oh yes, you can use the active or the passive voice. As you can see here on the left, we have examples of the active voice in present. They use the euro in most of the European countries, of the European Union, sorry, for example. So that's an active voice being used there in the simple present. So you can use either of them, podéis usar cualquiera de los dos, but what you are projecting in your message, lo que estáis proyectando en vuestro mensaje, changes depending on if you're using the passive voice or the active voice. So Rosario sends us an active past simple sentence. Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. All right, and how would you make that a passive sentence? Let's see. So in this case, for example, Romeo and Juliet would be the subject of our passive sentence. Romeo and Juliet was written by him or by Shakespeare. Very good. Very good, Rosario. And Liz, very good as well. Romeo and Juliet was written by Shakespeare. Okay, Isabel has a question. She wakes up every morning at 7 a.m. ¿Cuál es el pasivo de esta oración? Lo estoy intentando y no me sale. Okay, so the passive of that sentence, the problem is that she wakes up every morning at 7 a.m. There is nothing that is being acted upon. Lo voy a explicar en castellano. Ahí no hay alguien que reciba la acción. So some sentences we are not going to be able to use in the passive voice. Si no tiene el complemento directo, no se puede hacer. Eso es. Because we use the passive voice to change the focus of the sentence from the actor to the thing or person being acted on. If there is no thing or person being acted on, we can't change the focus because there is nothing else to focus on. So for example, using that example, but maybe switching it around, if we have, for example, the alarm clock wakes her up every morning at 7 a.m., we would switch that to she is woken up by the alarm clock every morning at 7 a.m. So now we have an actor and an actee. Actee, la persona que recibe la acción. All right, so let's move on, but not move on, we're going back. Let's see some more examples with the past simple. Okay, so now we are no longer talking about the present, we are talking about the past. After this, we are going to have a 10-minute break, and then we are going to come back. I think there is something else about the passive voice, and then we have some more grammar, and afterwards, our reading exercise and our Kahoot. So we can relax a little bit. So another example I'm going to put here. Let's see. Deliver the goods to me, so the goods. Ok, Marta says, estoy muy confused. Teacher, no te preocupes, ok, porque aquí estamos para aprender. Cuéntame tus dudas. Tú sin miedo, ¿vale? Yo no muerdo, soy muy majo. And Marco, okay, but the problem there is that it is a present simple sentence and was eaten is a simple past structure. So that would either be Sylvia ate breakfast or the breakfast is eaten by Sylvia. The goods, los bienes, las cosas que tienen que repartir. Por escoger algo súper genérico y no tener que comer el coco. Es que no me salen las oraciones. Ok, Marta. Vamos a ver un ejemplo. Ok. Escríbeme una oración en voz activa, o sea, una oración normal. Sin cambiar nada, sin poner el by, simplemente pues esta persona hizo esto. Lucia eats arepa, for example. Very easy, only 3 words, okay? So we have our subject, Lucia, who is the person doing the action, we eat. So that's our action, and arepa, la cosa que está comiendo. And so in this sentence, I'm going to see your example afterwards, Roxana. But in the example that we have, that least sentence, we have a person who does the action, an action, and something who receives the action. Okay. And okay, we are going to switch back to the present one, so you can see all the information here. It's arepa. So we have Lucia, que es nuestro subject, nuestro sujeto, it's, nuestra acción, and arepa, la cosa que recibe la acción. And we have to switch those around. Tenemos que cambiar el orden porque en esta oración lo más importante para nosotros es quién hace la acción y lo menos importante es quién la recibe. Y nosotros queremos hacerlo al revés, queremos centrarnos en las arepas. And so we say, arepa is eaten by Lucía. Entonces, ¿de dónde sale el is? El is sale de que tenemos que poner el presente del verbo to be, sí o sí, cuando usemos el simple present. Entonces, este is es un verbo que está en presente simple, and that's why we use is. Eaten, ese es el participio del verbo to eat, ¿de acuerdo? Os mandamos ayer una tablita con regular verbs. I can send it to you again. Lo voy a mandar ahora al chat, que lo tengo aquí guardado. Muy útil, que lo compartió ayer Gaby con nosotros. Dice, el verbo to be de la oración pasiva debe ir en el tiempo verbal, que es el verbo principal de la oración activa. Eso es. Entonces, it's es el presente del verbo comer, so is the present of the verb to be. And then, cuando nosotros queremos decir quién hizo esta acción, ponemos el by y seguidamente quién hizo la acción. So, Lucia eats arepa becomes arepa is eaten by Lucia. Lucia come arepa, arepa es comido por Lucia. That's how we would use it in Spanish. Okay, and she wrote the book. The book was written by her. Yes, not by she, but by her. Y sigue Liz, si pones ate, que está en pasado, el verbo be de la pasiva debe ir en pasado. Por lo tanto, was, eso es. Si, por ejemplo, nosotros nos vamos al pasado, vamos a seguir el mismo ejemplo y decimos, Lucía ate arepa. arepa was eaten by Lucía. Y como podéis ver ahí, el participio siempre se mantiene igual. En ambas oraciones tenemos el eaten, porque el participio no cambia, pero como ate, el pasado de ate, ahora nuestro verbo to be es was. Y tenemos otro ejemplo de Marco. Mike cleaned the living room. The living room was cleaned by Mike. Perfect. Perfect. So, for example, we have the example that Marta sent. Lucia runs every day. El problema aquí es que no tenemos un complemento. Entonces, Lucia runs every day. Lucía corre todos los días. No tenemos un complemento directo. No se actúa sobre nadie. Si, por ejemplo, dijésemos que Lucía corre una maratón todos los días, Lucía runs a marathon every day. Mucha fuerza de voluntad de allí, yo no podría. Then we would say a marathon is run by Lucía every day. Okay. So, necesitamos una cosa que reciba esta acción para poder pasar de active voice a passive voice. ¿Por qué? Porque como ya he dicho antes, la voz pasiva nosotros la usamos cuando lo que queremos es cambiar cuál es para nosotros la parte a recalcar, la parte principal de la oración. And that's it. Entonces espero que quede un poquito más claro. Oh, sí, perdón. Is run, el participio, sí. No puedo corregirlo ahora, pero sí, correcto. She drank a beer. The beer was drunk by her. Yes, very good. Okay, so son las 11 en punto. We are going to take our little break. This break, you can use it also to think of questions to ask me afterwards. Así que si tenéis todavía alguna duda, lo que sea, podéis rumiarla un poco, estos 10 minutos, 10 minutes only. And when we come back, you can still ask me questions, okay? This is not like, okay, yeah, that's it. Dice Marta, teacher, un moment. Veamos. Vamos rapidito. Cuéntame. Okay, Janice says it was already understood better. Thanks. You're welcome. Roxana buys a book. The book is bought by Roxana. Yes. Yes, that's perfect. So I think you understood it. I'm happy. Very well done, Marta. So now we are going to begin our break with this little victory in our hands. Very nice. And I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay, so go stretch, drink water, help to your pets, etc.
Chicos, saben que estamos en el chat si tienen alguna duda, ¿vale? Está Marcelo y estoy yo.
¿Y después del curso de verano gratis? ¿Qué vas a hacer? Tienes que seguir mejorando tu inglés. No pares, ¿eh? Que para dominarlo debes de ser constante. Así que aprovecha y matricula tu nivel con un 50% de descuento. Solicita el examen de nivelación gratis y vive la experiencia VLA. Y después del curso de verano gratis, ¿qué vas a hacer? Tienes que seguir mejorando tu inglés, no pares, ¿eh? Que para dominarlo debes de ser constante, así que aprovecha y matricula tu nivel con un 50% de descuento. Solicita el examen de nivelación gratis y vive la experiencia VLA. Y después del curso de verano gratis, ¿qué vas a hacer? Tienes que seguir mejorando tu inglés, no pares, ¿eh? Que para dominarlo debes de ser constante, así que aprovecha y matricula tu nivel con un 50% de descuento. Solicita el examen de nivelación gratis y vive la experiencia VLA. Y después del curso de verano gratis, ¿qué vas a hacer? Tienes que seguir mejorando tu inglés, no pares, ¿eh? Que para dominarlo debes de ser constante, así que aprovecha y matricula tu nivel con un 50% de descuento. Solicita el examen de nivelación gratis y vive la experiencia VLA.
All right. So we are back from our break. Let's see, let's wait a little bit so people can start turning on their webcams again. You know, we like to see you.
Teacher, vieras que
Well,
te interrumpo un segundo. ¿Puedo? Un momento.
sí, lo que necesites.
Nada, un segundo. Chicos, nada más quiero confirmar que me preguntan sobre el tema de la asistencia y el certificado. Vuelvo a recordarles que para obtener el certificado de participación de este curso, debemos de cumplir de 4 a 5 días, conectarse, ¿vale? Todo el curso. Así nosotros, con el link que siempre les enviamos de acceso, podemos ver la asistencia de las personas. Entonces, por ejemplo, la semana anterior, yo pude ver cuántas veces se conectó, por dar un ejemplo, Marco. Entonces, vi que Marco estuvo los 5 días, ¿vale? Entonces, fenomenal. Y así con todo. De 2 a 3 días, lamentablemente no, ¿vale? Porque en 5 días, pues es la idea de que mejoren aún un poco su inglés. Con 2 o 3 días no es suficiente. De igual manera, tienen las grabaciones, se las podemos ahora enviar de nuevo para que sepan el link y no hay problema, el material es para con todo el gusto que practiquen, pero el certificado tienen que cumplir al final de la semana la cantidad de días, ¿vale? Si tienen más dudas sobre el tema, lo vemos al final de la clase. Muchísimas gracias.
All right. So now we are going to start with a little bit of reading. Okay, and I know you're going to be a bit shy. That's okay. But I'm probably going to have to pick some first volunteers for the reading. But it's very important. I think this is very important. So you can start firstly being like more active and more outgoing, and to check your pronunciation. I see that Marta raised her hand, so I'm giving you microphone access. Good morning, Marta.
Good morning, you listening?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to read, right?
Okay, first day tradition around the world. The tradition of birthday parties start a long time ago. People thought that there was a special danger from evil spirits. So friends and family come together to bring good thoughts and wishes and even presents.
All right, good, Marta, thank you. There were some small mistakes there. Since we have so many people, I want you to like read small chunks of the text. But in our classes, nuestras clases, como somos menos personas, sí que estoy yo mucho más presente de corregir todas las cosas de pronunciación, tal y cual. Nos tiramos un poco más de tiempo. But since we have so many people here, I can't do that. Pero bueno, más que nada para que sepáis cómo funcionamos dentro de las clases de DLA. All right, so next one, just a second, I'm selecting the text and it's going to be Caroline. Let's see, I think you can talk now.
Okay. At one time, only kings had birthday parties, but as time went by, children and then adults began to have their own birthday celebrations.
All right, very good, Karina. Thank you. As you can see, I'm selecting like very small fragments. That's because I want people to be able to participate. But if everyone reads and there is still text to read, I'm going to like allow people to read again. So now is Christian's turn.
Okay, so there are some traditions, such as sending birthday cards, blowing out the candles on a birthday cake, and singing the happy birthday song that you can find almost anywhere, anytime.
Very good, Christian. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Now for this small chunk here, do we have more volunteers who want to read? Maybe people who want to repeat the experience, or do I have to pick my first volunteers?
Johanny teacher wants to read. Johanny.
Okay, let's see. Oh wait, we have a raised hand. Just a second, because okay. We have 3 raised hands. So the order is going to be Andrea, Pilar, Carol. So Andrea, I'm giving you access to your microphone. And Giovanni wants to read as well. I can't hear you. I gave you access to the microphone before. But let's go with Andrea first.
Others are more specific to certain age and certain countries. In China, everyone celebrates their birthday on New Year's Day. They become 1 year older on that day.
All right, very good. Thank you, Andrea. And now it's Pilar's turn. Yes, you should be able to speak now. I'm going to select this part of the text, yes. So there you go, your turn, Pilar. Thank you for waiting.
On a child's second birthday, family members put a variety of objects on the floor around the child. According to Chinese traditions, the first object that the child picks up tells you what profession the child will choose later in life.
All right, very good. Thank you, Pilar. And now it's Carol's turn. Just a second so I can organize the text. Let's see, like this. I think this is good. Okay, all ready.
For Japanese children that turn 5 and 7 birthdays are particularly important. At this age, there is a special celebration called Shikingo San 753 in Japanese. When children go to that temple wearing a brand new kimono.
All right, very good. Thank you. So let's see, we have in the chat, Lucia says, I can't because I'm waiting to sign my new contract. Congratulations, Lucia. And I see that Sophia raised her hand. I'm going to divide your text in 2 parts, Sophia, because I think this is like too short.
Vale.
So you can
The press, vale. The press gives them a special sweets, and the parents usually organize a party of their friends in their home.
All right, good. No te vayas todavía. Vamos a seleccionar esta otra parte chiquitita de aquí. There you go.
Vale. 50. In Argentina, Mexico, and several other Latin American countries, girls have a special birthday celebration when they reach the age of 15.
All right.
Eso es verdad. No, es que como yo soy de Colombia, así se celebran. Es verdad.
Vale, okay. Genial. So I'm going to try to give microphone access to Giovanni first, since she was waiting. And afterwards, it's Jocelyn's turn. Okay, Giovanni, I think your microphone is activated, yes?
Yes, it's my time.
Yes, it's your turn now. Thank you for waiting.
After a religious ceremony, the girls dance and waltz with their father and other boys. 18 is the traditional coming of age, the age where you have the right. I'm sorry, I don't look more because and look the camera of the people.
Oh.
Of students. Yeah, sorry, it's the age where you have the right.
Oh. There you go. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The age where you have the right vote, join the armed forces. In many countries, drink alcohol, and in the UK, but something both host or become a member of parliament.
All right, very good, Jayani. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now it's Josephine's turn. Let's see. There we go. Hello.
Okay. In many English-speaking countries, a 21st birthday cake often has a cake on top, or the cake itself is sometimes in the shape of a cake. The cake means that the young person is now old enough to leave and enter the family home and anytime they want.
All right, very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
So as you can see, we still have a little bit of text remain. So who wants to read this part? Maybe I see that there are plenty of volunteers. I was expecting that you were a bit, I don't know, a bit more shy, but you seem to want to read, and I love that. Belly says, yo me atrevo, no pasa nada. Tranquilidad. And Carolina says, I love number 30. Pues a ver, ¿quién quiere leerme el number 30? So we know what it says. Si no levantamos a nadie, pues voy a ir un poquito ahí a voleo. Vamos a ver quién se me ocurre. Who do I want to read? Let's go for Carlos. Te ha tocado. And Yuyani says she wants to read again. Okay, let's see if Carlos accepts the microphone request. And if not, Yuyani can read again. And anyone who already read, if you want, you can request it again. Okay. So there you go, Yuyani. Espero estar pronunciando bien tu nombre. Sorry.
Okay. In the past, in part of Europe, men who reached the age of 30 and were, sorry, don't look more worse. Okay.
Let's see. Is that better?
Sorry. No, only of 30 and no more. Okay. In the past, or in part of Europe, men who reached the age of 30 single have to clear the stairs of the city halls.
Oh.
This way, every every girl could see didn't have a girlfriend. Oh, and who good he was at cleaning the house.
All right.
Okay,
Very good.
Maybe I need to more practice because
Everyone needs more practice.
I read slowly. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I think that everyone needs practice. I need practice myself because there's always room for improvement. But the most important part is practicing and like not being shy. I think that's very, very important.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, well, let's see. I was going to make a comment about this tradition, but yeah, I wasn't single when I was 30, and I'm good at cleaning the house, so yeah, I'm okay. So last two parts, which I don't really know how to separate. Now, let's see, we're going to do this like this. So there is one big part left for everyone who wants to read. If you read before, you can do it again. If you didn't read before, that's okay, you can read. And Joanna raised her hand. So let's see, hello.
Hello. After the age of 30, many people prefer to forget their birthday rather than celebrate them. Children often bring mom or dad breakfast in bed, and it's traditional to give a bunch of followers and enjoy a special meal or party. It's also a day when your friends and family have to pay and you go out for drinks or a meal.
Right. Very good, Joanna. Thank you. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm going to give you like a couple minutes to read the first slide and a couple minutes to read the second slide. And I want you to ask me any vocabulary that you don't know. Okay, this is only going to take us like 3-4 minutes. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but it's interesting to me to see what kind of vocabulary you may be lacking. So yeah, couple minutes, maybe a minute and a half to read this and another minute and a half to read the other slide. For example, I'm going to see like some interesting expressions rather than single words, such as time went by. As time went by, a medida que pasaba el tiempo. Others than I can see here. Yeah, I don't see any other expressions that I consider interesting or important. So let's see, if you can tell me in the chat when you finish reading, because I don't want to switch too fast, that would be great. Brand new, nuevo, a estrenar. So for example, if I bought a laptop yesterday, it would be a brand new laptop. The child picks up, to pick up, recoger algo. So in this case, el niño o la niña recoge lo que sea. En este caso, I think it was the first object that the child picks up. El primer objeto que el niño o la niña recoja. You're welcome. All right, so if there aren't any more questions, to blow out, en este caso lo aplicamos a velas, entonces soplar las velas. Blowing out the candles, esto es soplar las velas on a birthday cake, de cumpleaños. Okay, we are going to move on to the second slide. And again, minute and a half, 2 minutes tops, como mucho. Let's see if there is some vocabulary here that I consider important or that you don't understand. We talk about it and we finish our reading, lesson. To reach, alcanzar. In this case, it was to reach the age of 15, alcanzar o llegar a la edad de 15 años. Then we have coming of age. Coming of age es llegar a la madurez. To dance, a what? Bailar, el tipo de baile este que no me acuerdo, un vals, eso es. Aquí on top, una llave sobre, encima de algo. So in this case, they are saying, birthday cake often has a key on top. La tarta de cumpleaños normalmente tiene una llave encima. And like I was saying before, coming of age or to come of age es llegar a la madurez, llegar a la adultez. Still, todavía. Depends on the context, but I think that in this context it's todavía. If you can tell me where it is, because I'm trying to find the word here, I can tell you more depending on the context. Okay, they were still single. Todavía estaban solteros. Parlamento. Shape of a key. Shape es forma, so shape of a key con forma de llave. I see we have lots of questions. I like that. I like that you aren't shy when asking questions. Okay, so we'll give this one more minute and we're done. Rather depends entirely on the context. So I'm going to look for the context in which, 1450, all right, very good, thank you. Many people prefer to forget their birthdays rather than celebrate them. En este caso, rather significa en vez de. Prefieren olvidar sus cumpleaños en vez de celebrarlos. Entonces, más que rather sería el rather than. Todo junto, rather than en vez de. Okay, so I think okay, we have another question and we are done. A bunch, un puñado. So in this case, puede ser literal or not. I'm trying to find where it is located. A bunch of flowers, sí, pues unas cuantas flores. En este caso también podría considerarse un pequeño ramo, un puñado, una cantidad no muy grande de flores. And with that, I think we are done with our reading exercise. And now we're going to play a little game. If you were here last week, yes, exactly, Sophia. If you were here last week, you know about Kahoot, and it's a game in which you can see like questions and you have to choose different answers and only one is the correct one. So we are going to play that and we are going to use this to recap what we saw yesterday, the present perfect versus the past simple. So if you give me just a minute, I'm going to get this set up. Y ahora voy a explicar cómo funciona para los que no estabais aquí, ¿vale? No os preocupéis, no voy a hacer en plan, bueno, aquí está el Kahoot, ya está, yo me desentiendo, no. Okay. So, esta parte la voy a explicar en castellano para que tengamos todo muy, muy claro. ¿De acuerdo? Yo os voy a compartir mi pantalla y aquí vais a ver preguntas. ¿De acuerdo? Podéis jugar a esto con el ordenador o con móviles, tablets, etcétera. En el ordenador tenéis que ir a la dirección que está en pantalla, kahoot.it, y os va a salir como una casilla para poner este código. Después de eso, pues ponéis el nombre que queráis y ya estáis dentro. Con el móvil podéis hacer móvil, tablet, etcétera, ¿vale? Todo es lo mismo. Con el móvil, tablet, etcétera, lo que podéis hacer es, una de dos, o ir a la página web también, poner el código, o descargaros la aplicación en la Play Store o en la App Store, ¿vale? Y ahí os van a decir de tú que eres profesor, alumno, no sé qué, ponéis alumno, y en la parte inferior va a haber un botoncito que ponga imponer código. Ahí metéis el mismo código que tenéis en pantalla, siempre, o sea, es el mismo para todo el mundo, y entráis a la partida. ¿De acuerdo? Entonces, a ver, tenemos chats. Mónica que dice voy, ya va volando. Entonces, ¿qué va a pasar? Lo que vais a ver es en vuestra pantalla, o sea, en la pantalla que yo os estoy compartiendo preguntas, y en vuestra pantalla, los que estáis con el móvil, los botones para darle a elegir respuesta. Vais a ver las preguntas y las respuestas posibles. En mi pantalla tenéis que elegir una. Cuanto más rápido elijáis, si acertáis, más puntos os lleváis. Así que es un poco de risk versus reward. ¿De acuerdo? En este caso creo que este Kahoot son 15 preguntitas, ¿vale? Entonces yo también las voy a leer, os voy a leer las opciones, etc. Bueno, no os olvidéis que lo que vamos a ver ahora es un repaso de Present Perfect versus Past Simple, cuando usamos uno o cuando usamos el otro para hablar de cosas que sucedieron en el pasado. Si veis que falláis muchas preguntas o lo que sea, no os desaniméis, primero porque es un tema complicado, segundo porque solo lo vimos ayer, todavía está fresco, está un poquito machacado, ¿de acuerdo? Lo importante es participar y a través de participar repasar y ver los fallos que tenéis. ¿De acuerdo? Pues vamos a esperar un poquitito a que se metan más compañeros, vamos por 30, 31. Vamos a dar un momentito más para la gente que todavía es un poquito rezagada. Si tenéis cualquier pregunta, lo que sea, me lo decís por el chat. No penséis, ay, bueno, es que no me está saliendo esto, pero no voy a molestar a Iván. Molestadme lo que queráis. Vamos por 33 personas.
Ya lo tienen dominado.
Sí, a ver, yo sobre todo lo digo por la gente que no estuvo la semana pasada, porque los que estuvieron lo tienen ahí fino, fino.
Tú no habías dicho Kahoot y ya habían como 5 en línea.
Sí.
Ya.
Hay unos cuantos que lo estaban esperando, que ya cuando dije al principio de la clase, sí, ya va a haber Kahoot, yo creo que se iluminaron algunos ojos.
Claro, es como para relajarnos un poco.
Sí.
Los temas a veces yo sé que cuestan, pero hay que practicarlos.
Sí. Y yo entiendo que, por ejemplo, la passive voice es un tema espantoso. Es un tema espantoso como alumno, es un tema espantoso como profesor. Hay que darle. Bueno, ahora, relajados. Terminamos la clase con un juego, nos lo pasamos bien y ya pues todos a comer. Tranquilos. Marta, sí, terrorífico, estoy completamente de acuerdo. Wait 1 second, ok, no te preocupes, Daloba, vamos a esperar un poquitito, a ver que entre más gente.
Marta, que yo te aseguro que el otro año en el curso de verano no vas a tener tanto problema. Si no, ya ahí no, si ya tienes problema dentro de un año, ojo, pero ya dentro de un año ya vienes a solamente practicar, esperaría yo.
A subirte el ego, vas a venir el año que viene.
Vas a ver que sí, vas a ver.
Okay, I think we are going to begin now. Vamos a empezar ahora, a no ser que alguien me quiera decir en plan, oye, Iván, que lo diga ya en el chat, en plan, Iván, no. Esperamos un poquitito, pero si nadie más tiene ninguna objeción, vamos a comenzar el juego. Ok, vamos a comenzar entonces. Recordad que también os voy a decir por qué cada respuesta es como es, ¿de acuerdo? No os dejo ahí a vuestra suerte. So, Whitney Houston, something in 8 films in her lifetime. Entonces tenemos has acted, was acting, acted o had acted. Quedan 5 segunditos, hay que ir apurando un poco esas respuestas. Recordad que por poner una que esté mal no pasa nada, ¿vale? Okay, so a lot of divided replies. Voy a decir, en la aplicación lo voy a hacer en castellano mejor para que no haya lugar a malentendidos. La gran mayoría me pusisteis has acted, actuó, ha actuado. But in this case we say acted, actuó. ¿Por qué? Porque estamos hablando de una cosa, primero, que pasó en el pasado, y segundo, que ya hemos dicho cuándo. Nosotros vamos a usar el past simple para hablar de cosas que sucedieron en el pasado, terminaron en el pasado, y siempre que digamos cuándo sucedieron, vamos a usar past simple. No vamos a usar el present perfect, eso es, cuando decimos cuándo sucedieron. ¿De acuerdo? No usaríamos was acting, porque was acting lo reservamos para cosas que sucedían en el pasado a la vez que otra cosa. For example, I called you when you were in class. No he usado ninguno. Okay, when you were studying, sorry. Yes, I called you when you were studying. Entonces ahí es una acción interrumpida por otra. Y no sería have acted porque Whitney Houston es tercera persona del singular. Nuestro verbo auxiliar ahí tiene que ser has, pero tampoco porque seamos acted en este caso. Vamos a continuar. Ya os digo que no os desaniméis porque esto es práctica. What are you looking for? My glasses. I'm afraid I something in them in the car. Have left, I has left, or was leaving. Nos quedan 5 segundos, bastantes preguntas, bastantes respuestas por dar. Estamos llegando un segundo. And okay, I have left them in the car. ¿Por qué sería have left y no left? Primero, porque no hemos puesto un cuándo, porque no nos importa ese cuándo. Cuando nosotros hablamos del pasado y no nos importa cuándo ocurrió algo, sino el hecho de que ocurriese, usamos el present perfect simple, ¿de acuerdo? Por ejemplo, si alguien nos dice, oh yes, I watched the movie yesterday and it was awesome and the movie was, no sé, Arrival, por ejemplo, nosotros queremos decir, ah sí, he visto esa peli, no nos importa cuándo la vimos, sino el hecho de haberla visto. Oh yes, I watched that movie, he visto esa película. No nos importa si fue ayer o hace 20 años. Muy buena película, por cierto, Arrival, os la recomiendo muchísimo, a mí me encanta. Alright, so the next one, my grandma, something, a cookery book before she died in 2001. Have written, has written, wrote, y write. Okay, so 5 seconds, almost at the time limit. Un segundito. Okay, very good. So, wrote. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué wrote? Porque hemos dicho que ¿cuándo sucedió esto? Before she died in 2001. Nos pregunta Mónica si este Kahoot es el de ayer por la tarde. Creo que sí, porque yo ayer por la tarde fue mi día libre. Me vino estupendo. Y estamos usando este porque nosotros ayer por la mañana sí que no nos da el tiempo a usarlo. Y no queremos que la gente se pierda este repaso. So, yes, wrote lo usamos porque estamos diciendo cuándo ocurrió esto. Puedes escribirme el código de Kahoot, sí, sin problema.
Mónica, entonces te quiero en el primer lugar. Vamos a ver.
Es buen repaso, es buen repaso. So, something, you something, the contract. Can you start tomorrow? We have did, signed, have, signed, y have, signed. All right, 5 seconds. 3, 2, hay que se nos queda sin tiempo. 0. Okay, I see a lot of divided answers. It's okay. Es normal haber pensado en did you sign the contract, but again, we don't care about when this happened. De nuevo, no nos importa cuándo ocurrió esto. Lo que nos importa es, ¿lo has firmado o no? Puede ser ahora, puede ser hace una hora, nos da igual. Por eso usaríamos el have. Have you signed? La amarilla estaría mal porque es have y sign, pero acordaos de que nosotros para hacer los perfectos vamos a usar nuestro auxiliar y el participio. Sign sería una forma base, ¿de acuerdo? Y vamos a continuar. So, number 5. The moment I saw him, I something in love with him. Felt, have felt, fell y have fallen. Qué bonito, qué bonito. Ok, so, nos quedan 5 segunditos. Nos quedan 3 segundos, hay que apurar hasta el último momento. Y bien, va. Primero, aquí os han puesto una trampa, ¿vale? Una trampa muy a mala leche, he de deciros, porque si no se hubiesen puesto esta trampa, habría una mayoría de personas que lo hubiesen puesto bien. Felt, sentir, o sintió, el verbo to feel, sentir, and fell, caer. Entonces la expresión es to fall in love. Caerse en amor, supongo, no sé, este tipo de expresión no las podemos traducir. Entonces sería el pasado del verbo to fall. Fell, no fell. ¿Por qué no sería have fallen? Porque nos están diciendo cuándo ocurrió esto. The moment I saw him. Entonces, esto nos explica que no tenemos por qué decir, bueno, sí, vale, es que esto es el momento en el que ocurrió, tenemos que decirlo en horas o en días, no. Puede ser cosas tan etéreas como decir, sí, pues cuando lo vi, y ya está. Ok, number 6. I something 8 cups of coffee. Now I really need to take a leak. No me preguntéis qué es lo que es to take a leak. All right, 10 seconds. Vamos con un poco de prisa, hay que darse prisa. 5 segundos. Estamos en los 3, nos quedamos sin tiempo. Ok, I have drunk. He bebido. ¿Qué? Porque de nuevo no nos importa cuándo ocurrió esta acción. Y no lo está diciendo. Puede ser hace 5 minutos, hace 10, hace una hora. Se entiende por contexto que ha sido hace poco. Entonces no usaríamos el pasado. ¿Por qué drunk la primera y no drunk la segunda? Porque el participio del verbo to drink es drunk con U. Entonces es un verbo irregular. Ya sabéis que tenéis que repasarlos porque es una cosa que no vais a sacar por contexto ni nada. Simplemente lo tenéis que saber. Y punto. No hay más. Next question. Number 7. Did you know that the Dutch algo hot chocolate have invented, did invent, or invented? Ok, estamos ya casi. Y os han puesto otra trampa aquí. ¿Por qué? No nos están diciendo cuándo, ¿de acuerdo? Have invented es una cosa que nos parecería completamente lógica porque no nos importa cuándo lo hicieron. Pero para hablar de este tipo de cosas, como por ejemplo invenciones o cosas que se hacen de manera colectiva, vamos a usar invented en vez del have invented. Generalmente vamos a usar nuestro presente perfecto para cosas que se puedan hacer de manera particular. Entonces, es una pequeña trampa que os han puesto y pues yo perfecto con ello porque me da pie a explicaros cosas. No podría ser did invent porque no casaría allí porque usaríamos el invented, no necesitamos ningún verbo auxiliar en este aspecto y no podría ser did invented porque did y el pasado nunca se pueden usar juntos. Si usamos did, tenemos que usar la forma base del verbo. All right, number 8. Algo, Johan, algo, a new car last year after she had that terrible accident. Did what? Did buy, has thought, it does buy. Estamos dando muy poquito tiempo, hay que ir muy cabralo. 5 segundos, nos quedan solo 5 segundos. 2 segundos, ay mamita, vale, dentro de la mayoría. Ok, en este caso sería did y bought. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no sería did bought? Porque como se hizo antes, cuando tenemos el auxiliar en pasado, en este caso did, que es do en pasado, no vamos a usar nuestra forma pasada en el principal, que sería buy, sino que vamos a usar el infinitivo, o sea, did buy. ¿Por qué no puede ser has Joan bought? Porque nos están diciendo cuándo ocurrió el accidente. Last year after she had that terrible accident. Entonces ya nos están situando esto en el tiempo. Y no podría ser does buy porque estamos hablando en pasado. Ok, la 9. Now that you something in Chicago for a year, what do you think of the city? Tenemos live, has lived, have lived y live. Aquí nos han dado un poquito más de tiempo, más relajados, pero no hay que confiarse. 5 segundos. 3, 2, 1 y 0. All right. ¿Qué ha pasado aquí? Ok. Una cosa que tenéis que entender es que decir I lived in Chicago for a year y I have lived in Chicago for a year son dos cosas completamente distintas. I lived in Chicago for a year significa que ya no vives en Chicago. Mientras que I have lived in Chicago for a year significa que llevas un año viviendo en Chicago y sigues ahí. Entonces, cuando nos preguntan en plan, ahora que has vivido, está complicado parece, dice Anabel, sí. Este es un Kahoot bastante puñetero, ¿eh? Yo me lo esperaba un poquito más relajado y resulta que no, que vienen con el machete en la mano. So, ¿qué es lo que pasa aquí? Que cuando nos preguntan en plan, oye, ya llevas un año viviendo aquí, ¿qué opinas de la ciudad? Como que nos da el contexto de que todavía sigues viviendo allí. Si, por ejemplo, nos dijesen, en vez de now that you have lived in Chicago for a year, nos dijesen since you lived in Chicago for a year, ya que viviste en Chicago durante un año, sería distinto. Pero con ese now del principio, nos están dejando caer que seguimos viviendo allí. Tiene mucho matiz esto, ¿eh? Tiene mucho matiz, es complicado, no os preocupéis. A mí me está sirviendo más para explicar que para otra cosa, así que a vosotros os está sirviendo más para aprender que para otra cosa, que está perfecto. No podría ser live, porque estamos diciendo cosas con el present perfect o el past simple. Vamos con la siguiente, la 10 out of 15. Wear something, see something, such a beautiful dress. Just look at it. Stunning. Has found, have found, did found, y did find. A 5 segunditos. Y 0. Where has she found? De nuevo, lo habéis pillado muy bien esta. No nos importa cuándo encontró ese vestido, sino dónde. Entonces veo que lo habéis visto bastante bien. Por abordar los fallos que veo allí, no podría ser have, porque es tercera persona del singular, she, entonces estaríamos has. No podría ser did found, porque, de nuevo, no podemos usar did con una forma en pasado o en participio con un verbo, y no podría ser did find, de nuevo, porque no nos importa cuándo lo encontró, solo dónde. Perdón. Ay, de verdad, qué catarro más puñetero. Como este Kahoot. And this is how it all something 25 years ago, and the rest is history. Tenemos have begun, begun, begun y begun. Y esta pregunta sí que va a matar, o sea, si no habéis visto la tabla de los verbos irregulares, probablemente tengáis problemas con esto. Normal, no os preocupéis, ¿vale? Begun. ¿Por qué? Porque began con A es la forma pasado, began con U es el participio. Y ya está, no tiene más. Si no habéis visto muy bien La tabla que os hemos pasado, habéis tenido tiempo, lo que sea, normal, no podíais saberlo. ¿Ok? No puede ser has begun porque de nuevo nos dicen 25 years ago, nos dicen cuándo empezó esto. Ok. Ya, 3 preguntitas. It something very little last winter. Snowed, has snowed, have snowed, it was snowing. Vamos, vamos, vamos. Nos queda menos de 10 segundos. Estamos ya en los 5. 3 segunditos. No entran más respuestas, no entran más respuestas. Y... Ok, it snowed very little last winter. ¿Por qué snowed? De nuevo, me está diciendo last winter. Como ya os dije antes, no tiene por qué decirnos en qué año, qué día, no tiene que darnos fechas. Solo decirnos algo, lo que sea, que nos lleve a poder colocar esto en cuándo sucedió. Para usar el pasado simple. Vale. 13 de 15, estamos ya casi. Algo, Melinda. Algo, a lot so far. Did Melinda traveled? Has. Algo traveled, did traveled y have traveled. Estamos ahí, muchas respuestas en esta. Y la mayoría correctas, sí. Has Melinda traveled a lot so far? ¿Por qué? Porque no nos están diciendo cuándo, solo hasta la fecha. Pero hasta la fecha no es un cuándo. Por lo cual no diríamos did Melinda travel. Si, por ejemplo, en vez de ser a lot so far, dijésemos a lot last year, sí que tendríamos que decir did Melinda travel a lot last year. Pero como no estamos diciendo cuándo, pero estamos diciendo hasta cuándo, usamos el perfecto. All right, 2 questions left. Something you ever, something part in a theatrical production before. Did algo take, have taken, has taken, or did to. 5 segunditos. 3, 2, 1. Se acabó. Very nice. A lot of correct answers. Sería have you ever taken, porque no nos están preguntando cuándo. Cuando veis preguntas con el ever, que significa alguna vez en este contexto, ya significa que no nos importa cuándo ocurrió algo, ¿vale? Entonces, have you ever taken part in a theatrical production before? ¿Alguna vez has formado parte de una producción teatral? Y ya está. Me dio el before, sí, normal. Pero el before solo significa antes. No nos está diciendo cuándo antes. And the last one. Where something, day, something on holiday last summer. Did went, have went, did go y have gone. 10 segundos. Nos da un poquito tiempo. 5, 3, 2, 1... Y listos. Bien. Did go. ¿Por qué? Pues nos está diciendo last summer. Ya con last summer sabemos que se refieren a un punto concreto en el pasado, el verano pasado. And so we use the past simple for that. And we are done. Ya hemos terminado, así que vamos a ver ese podio. Tercer lugar se lo lleva Violeta. Felicidades. Segundo lugar va para Liz. Enhorabuena. Y el podio, que además ha estado bastante disputado, va para Chris. Muy bien. Y tenemos como cuarto y quinto a Agus y a Mónica. Felicidades a todos. Igualmente lo que os digo, no importa tanto el participar, o sea, no importa tanto el ganar, sino el participar, el repasar, el que esto os haya servido para entender un poquito mejor lo que hablamos ayer y tener menos fallos. ¿De acuerdo? Y bueno, pues por mi parte, además es justo a la hora 12 y 1 minuto, o sea, no lo podría haber calculado mejor. Y eso que soy de letras, así que me ha salido muy bien. Con lo cual, pues, no sé si Gaby tiene algo que contaros al final de la clase, siempre suele decir si tenéis preguntas, tal y cual, así que le voy a pasar el micrófono.
Ya, me dejaste sin tiempo. Vale, pues bueno, les cuento todo rapidísimo. No. Que los que tengan que ir, yo entiendo, no pasa nada. Y los que se quieran quedar 5 minutillos por si tienen dudas, que sé que varios ya han tenido, fenomenal, acá estamos. Cristian, felicidades, muy bien, ahí vas subiendo en el Kahoot, muy bien, mañana más, Y bueno, al final les cuento que tendremos un sorteo y aplica solo para los que han estado toda la semana, ¿vale? Es lo más justo. Y no sé si tienen alguna consulta, pregunta. Hasta mañana, Jocelyn. Hasta luego, Inma. Vale. Me preguntaban del certificado, aplica igual. El certificado de participación es para los que han estado toda la semana y van a estar toda la semana. ¿Cuándo se entrega? Aproximadamente de 15 a 20 días, no creo que tanto, pero bueno, de 15 porque son bastantes personas. Se les enviará a su correo electrónico. Ojo, que yo he estado revisando la asistencia y me he enterado de que no todos están o no todos lograron poner su nombre completo, pusieron solo su mail. Va a pasar de que seguramente como no tenemos su nombre completo y no lo registraron, pusieron solo, por ejemplo, Gaby. Yo soy Gabriela Durán González. Entonces pusieron solo Gaby. Entonces, ojo que voy a tener que seguramente escribirle a Gaby y ponerle, Gaby, mira, ¿cuál es tu nombre completo? Entonces, porfi, para que lo tomen en cuenta. Hasta luego, Vero. Have a nice day. Perfecto. See you tomorrow, Lucía. Las clases grabadas, ¿dónde las podemos encontrar? ¿Están las de la semana pasada? Sí, Ima. Marcelo te las va a enviar en unos momentos por el chat. ¿Por qué no tendremos Kahoot el jueves? Porque tendremos otro juego el jueves. Bueno, pues si quieren Kahoot, hacemos Kahoot, que aquí hacemos lo que quieran. Ya está. Si no quieren el otro juego que tenemos el jueves, hacemos Kahoot, no pasa nada. Vale, Liz. Muy bien. Pues chicos, yo creo que claro, comentarles que pueden aprovechar las clases la próxima semana, que ya comenzamos con la primera semana de inducción. ¿Qué van a hacer después del verano? ¿Van a seguir practicando inglés? ¿Qué quieren hacer? Bueno, los invitamos a que continúen con clases regulares. No son clases diarias, son 2 veces a la semana, 2 horas cada clase, muy parecido como a esta dinámica en cuanto a que hay un break, ¿verdad? En que siempre va a haber grammar, listening, reading, mucho vocabulario, bueno, todo lo que obviamente podemos dar en una clase regular, que es más one-to-one con la persona, ¿no? Entonces, si tienen dudas de cómo son las clases, de qué nivel están, en el link que está acá en el chat, pueden ingresar, que dice clases de verano, ¿vale? Ahí pueden ver las clases y en el próximo link que va a enviar Marcelo, el del 50% de descuento, pueden solicitarle a un asesor el examen de nivelación, ¿vale? El examen de nivelación es una prueba escrita y es una prueba por audio de nota de voz, para conocer un poco cómo están hablando y nada, saber en qué nivel están para que vayan al curso regular que está en el 50% de descuento. Es la primera vez que hacemos esto, que damos un curso a la mitad de precio. Pero nada, que es un gusto para nosotros poder ayudarles. Ahí está el link, por si quieren pedir el examen de nivelación, que es gratuito. Es obligatorio de parte de ULA hacerlo. Yo sé que muchos, y nos ha pasado, vienen y nos dicen, soy B1, soy B2. Vale, está perfecto, y no sé con quién se han certificado y tal, pero es importante para nosotros, porque nos hemos dado cuenta que pues no necesariamente lo son. Y con esto quiero ser muy sincera. Nosotros en BLA no vamos a ingresarlos a un nivel que no están. Es responsabilidad nuestra certificarlos en un nivel correspondiente, ¿vale? Somos muy responsables con eso. Más para ustedes, ¿no? Que necesitan estar muy bien en su nivel para un trabajo, para una entrevista. El certificado, más allá de decir que lo hablan, lo importante es a la hora de que en realidad lo hablen, ¿ok? Un papel es sumamente importante, pero el tema aquí es que el papel no habla. Los que hablan son ustedes, y en BLA nos preocupamos más por eso, porque de verdad lo logren dominar. Entonces, bueno, sin más, para no agobiarlos tanto, me quedo por acá un par de minutos si quieren comentarme algo más. Que yo creo que todo ha estado muy claro, pero nunca está de más que las demás personas pregunten. ¿Ok? Déjame ver si por acá se me fue algún mensaje, que creo que no. Vanessa. Bye, Vanessa. A ti, Elizabeth. Nos vemos mañana. Que estés muy bien. Vale, fenomenal. Bueno, yo creo que todo clarísimo, Marcelo. A ti, te espero un minuto, Marcelo, tú me dices.